did not think we was going to call that play.
Bryant, he throws a reverse pass to the end zone.
And we did, and we made it happen.
Touchdown to Whitney.
I want to show him a little respect there, throwing up that X.
And we're special because of the guys we have here, the leadership, the care that we have for each other. If you're a competitor, you want to win, and that's enough to play for.
Just about everybody throwing up the X on Monday night in a big 42-21 win over the Detroit Lions. And welcome to another edition of Cowboys Insider inside the Academy Sports and Outdoors studios at the Star in Frisco, Texas. I'm Bill Jones, along with Nate Newton, Rick Goslin, and Dave Campo as the Cowboys get set for week number 17 in the NFL against the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday afternoon. Having matched a club record with 13 wins on the season, they go into this week at 13-2. Lots to get to over the course of the next half hour. As always, we start with our opening statements, and as always, we start with who Goose Goslin refers to as our leadoff hitter, our Nellie Fox. That would be Coach Campo. Coach?
Well, first, Happy New Year to all you guys out there. But contrary to popular opinion, there is a reason to watch this game coming up this weekend. The Cowboys can set a franchise record with 14 wins, and I'm sure that they're going to play with that in mind.
And I want to echo that, Coach. 14 wins, man, to be a part of setting something for your franchise to be talked about forever. Keep your edge, keep going, and thank you, Des, for letting the left-handers come to light.
Yeah, and I'm going to echo what both Nate and Dave said. I think it's important to look short-term, get the 14th victory, set the franchise record. I thought it was important back in 2007 for the Patriots to go 16-0. This is your one shot to set the franchise record for victories. Go get the win. Go get the 14th win.
Going for 14-2 against the Philadelphia Eagles. And, of course, it'll be a bye week before the divisional playoff coming up the weekend of January 14th and 15th. Let's start with that X factor, though. Let's start with Dez. And, wow, in fact, Goose talked about it in a column on Monday or on Tuesday after the Monday night game that Dez is the X factor for the playoff run for the Cowboys. You look at the only players in the Super Bowl era to have 2 touchdown receptions and a passing touchdown in one game, the other one being David Patton some 15 years ago for the New England Patriots. Nate, what about the X factor on Monday night?
The X factor is showing to everybody who the player he is. You know, we know he can make these great plays, but, man, we saw him run. Me and Coach saw him run a 20-yard dig route with 2 people on him, came up with it. His route tree has grown. This kid is growing by leaps and bounds because now he's paying attention to detail.
Yeah, I love the guy because he has matured tremendously over the years that he's been here. You know, right now he's a team guy all the way. His role is to catch the ball when it's thrown to him, and he's doing that right now, Goose.
Yeah, it's the quality, not the quantity. He's not Julio Jones. You don't need him to go have 300 yards in a game. He's not Larry Fitzgerald. He's not going to catch 14 balls a game. Dak is going where the defense takes him. When they need a big play, Dak steps up, and that's his role for this team going forward.
Yeah, so how important is to have this Dez Bryant if the Cowboys are going to get to where they want to get?
I think he's got to be big. I think he's got to play his best 4 games over these next, hopefully, 4 games they play. I mean, this is the Dez Bryant. Well, he's kind of dropped off the map when we talk about the elite receivers, the Pro Bowl receivers. It's still there, but we haven't seen it. He's had 1-catch games. He's got to come up big in January and February.
The great thing about it, though, is that whether he catches a ball or not, he's a factor in the game just by standing out there as far as the running game is concerned, which is the key.
All right, we're just getting started here on this edition of Cowboys Insider. Should Dak play? Should Zeke play? Should Romo play against Philadelphia on Sunday? We dive into that when we come back in just a moment.
Cowboys Insider, presented by Baylor Scott & White, is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors, the official sporting goods retailer of the Dallas Cowboys. AT&T, mobilizing your world. And by Baylor Scott & White, we're changing healthcare for life. This segment is brought to you by the Dallas Morning News. Nobody does sports like Sports Day. Your home for complete Dallas Cowboys coverage.
Under pressure, Romo will go down.
Oh, my. If you think for a second that I don't want to be out there, then you probably never felt the pure ecstasy of competing and winning. That hasn't left me. In fact, it may burn more now than ever.
It burns more now than ever for Tony Romo as we go into week number 17 of this NFL season. Cowboys going for a 14-2 record. Welcome back to Cowboys Insider inside the Academy Sports and Outdoors studio. I know a lot of people out there talking about, is Tony Romo going to play in this game against the Philadelphia Eagles? You listen to Jason Garrett, and he talks about doing things the right way, playing Dak. We'll see how much Zeke plays on Sunday. But what about Tony Romo? Coach, your opinion on should Romo play this week? Does he need time?
No, he should not play this weekend. They're going to use his experience, which is way ahead of anybody else on the ball club, to handle it if they have to go to him. And that's the right decision, because if you get injured in this situation, right now they have the best backup quarterback in the business sitting there going into the playoffs, and I think that's the right approach.
But I don't think that best backup quarterback is going to be there next year, and I think he should play to show people it's still there. He's going to be, I can't, Jerry can talk about bringing Romo back, but at that salary cap figure, I can't see paying a backup quarterback $24 million. I think they've got to move him off the roster, trade him, release him. If he gets on the field, he has 6 to 7 for 85 yards, shows people it's still there. Next year he's 37. If he doesn't play, he hasn't played in 2 years, and you don't know what his market value is. You're trying to get a draft pick for him.
That's the great thing about sitting over here. We got all the opinions, but I tell you what, Jason Garrett will make that call. All we need to do is keep our guys sharp, and then coach can make whatever moves he need to move. But the most valuable guy right now is Ezekiel Elliott. If Tony get to play, it'll be great. If he don't get to play, it'll be great. But for me personally, it's called break that glass in the case of emergency. We don't need to break the glass with Tony just yet.
Goose and I had this conversation before we even came on here.
Let's have it now, then.
Yeah, the conversation that my feeling on the thing is that if he plays and does well, let's say he goes 5 for 5.
That's great.
You know, that's perfect, but I don't think the difference in the draft choice is going to be that much different. I think the team that wants him is going to say, hey, look, this guy's ready to go. You know, he's been hurt a little bit, but he still has a lot of talent. The draft pick's going to be the same.
He hasn't played in 2 years. You want to see something.
Most backups don't play in 2 years, brother man. But I tell you what, I know Tony ain't he's the exception to the rule, but promise you, they going to give Tony whatever he need if he needs to get out of here. And the team that he goes to, he's better than 80% of the quarterbacks in the league. Do you agree?
That's why you want to show people he's still got it.
He's not going to back down, I guarantee you.
He ain't going to back down, but you know what? Even the greats can be wrong.
No, frankly, I don't think it's going to be Jason's call. I think they'll ask Tony, do you want to play? I think Tony will defer.
And he'll say no.
Or is it Jerry's call?
No, it's Tony's call.
It's going to be Tony's call.
It won't be Jerry's call.
It's going to be Tony's call.
It won't be Jerry's call.
All right, and the injury factor is something to consider when you look around the league, not only with Romo, but with Dak Prescott. Marcus Mariota, of course, goes down. Derek Carr goes down with an injury last week. But as it relates to Romo, do you think when Jerry Jones talks about he doesn't need to see Romo play in this game against Philadelphia, getting to what you're talking about, his value even after this season, right, do you think that factors in that Jerry thinks that, okay, what if Romo got hurt if he played, and then he wouldn't have any value come the offseason?
But if you're going to worry about him getting hurt, then no one's going to want him next year anyway. If you're afraid he's going to take a hit and he's going to break, you're not going to be able to trade him. You're just going to release him.
I think the unknown in the situation is better. That's just my opinion, because I think as you look at it, they're going to look at his past background, and they're going to say, okay, this guy, if he plays the way we think he's going to play, he's going to be better than anybody we have on the roster. So let's go. Let's take it and see where it goes.
The only thing they can sell Tony, any team can sell Tony, is Tony going to look, say, do you have an offensive line and a complement of receivers? Because if you don't have that right there, I don't think Tony want to go there anyway.
Yeah, he's going to a contender for sure.
Well, and more to the point, what Jerry may be looking at as much as anything is he doesn't want his key backup quarterback to get hurt going into the playoffs, not to the off season. And Goose says,
"So Mark Sanchez, I'll get hurt, Mark. That's okay. Go down. That's fine. We're good. We got 2 of them."
All right, we continue here on Cowboys Insider in just a moment. Let's take a look at how that playoff picture might look come next week.
This segment was brought to you by the Dallas Morning News. Nobody does sports like Sports Day. Your home for complete Dallas Cowboys coverage. This segment is brought to you by DraftKings. Play for free today at DraftKings.com, America's favorite one-week fantasy football site.
Under 7 minutes in the game. Snap to Rodgers, looking right, throwing right. Ball's caught at the 5. Little pick play, and it's a touchdown. It's a touchdown to Randall Cobb. Caught it behind the pick of Jordy Nelson and ran it into the end zone.
Those Green Bay Packers looking good down the stretch run of this 2016 NFL season. Welcome back to the Cowboys Insider inside the Academy Sports and Outdoor Studio. Bill Jones, Nate Newton, Rick Goslin, and Dave Campo with you as usual. Let's take a look at this potential playoff scenario for the Cowboys. Of course, we won't know until after Wild Card Weekend next week who the Cowboys will play and host in the divisional playoff round. But how about these Packers? Are they the most feared team for any other team in the NFC playoffs now the way they're playing? Coach, what do you think?
Well, I would say yes, only because they have a Hall of Fame quarterback, and they've kind of found their stride right now. And, you know, he said, we're going to run the table. If they win next week, they run the table. They're going to be a very dangerous team in the playoffs.
And it is the Packers playing at the Lions on Sunday night in the only really, truly meaningful game in the NFL this week. How about the Packers, Rick?
Yeah, the deal is the Hall of Fame quarterback is playing like a Hall of Fame quarterback. He struggled early on getting Jordy Nelson back on the mix. The guy hasn't thrown an interception in 6 weeks. He's not beating himself. And he's going to stand back there and complete 70-75% of his passes, throw for 3-4 touchdowns. It's a quarterback game. They got one of the 2 or 3 best quarterbacks in football.
And they haven't lost a game in 5 weeks.
No, but they ain't the toughest team the Cowboys got to face. The Giants is the toughest team. They match up across the board, defense versus our offense. Their DBs can cover our guys one-on-one. That's gonna be the horse of the game right there if these two teams are fortunate enough to meet again.
Now, Coach, you've been saying the whole second half of the season that the Redskins are the team that scares you the most.
Well, I think the Redskins are a better football team than the Giants, to be perfectly honest with you, because they're balanced. You know, they're a balanced football team. But they have been so inconsistent that I can't pick them anymore. You know, they go 1 week to the next, they're a completely different football team. So it's going to be interesting. I think they're all going to be tough. The thing about the Giants, though, and I've been saying this right along, everybody says I'm full of it, but hey, I've been told that many times in the past. It's hard to beat a team 3 times in a season. And you know, if we play the Giants, we're going to win the next time.
All right, one of the big things, though, that happened last week was the Seahawks losing to the Cardinals. And if Atlanta wins this week, they'll get the first round bye and with the 2 seed, while the Seahawks will have to play wild card weekend. What about the Seahawks, Rick?
Russell Wilson. Again, it's a quarterback game. I look at Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Ben Roethlisberger, Tom Brady, Eli Manning, guys that have won Super Bowls. They're not going to tense up in the January games, and they're going to deliver. And those are the guys that scare me, the teams with the quarterbacks. Russell Wilson would scare me. The guy has taken this team to 2 Super Bowls, and he's better now than he was when he was a caretaker.
Understandably so, quarterbacks should scare you because they're the meat and potatoes of this league. But how you going to win is with defense. Seattle defense is coming together. They've lost Thomas in the backfield, but that's okay. Their defense is strong. The Giants' defense is strong, and Coach your Redskins' defense is sporadic, so don't even worry about that. So, you know, the Green Bay has found their sea legs on their defense. They got some guys back healthy, but going down the stretch, you got a quarterback, that's a plus. But if you got a defense, you can rip the heart out of some people.
Well, you just talked me out of the Redskins. Forget it. They can't play defense. They're done. We'll go with the other guys.
All right. We hadn't even talked about Atlanta. They may be lurking down the road. All right. We continue taking an up close look at these Philadelphia Eagles, and more specifically that quarterback, how he has done lately. Coming up next. He has not done lately.
This segment was brought to you by DraftKings. Play for free today at DraftKings.com, America's favorite one-week fantasy football site.
In the gun with Elliott to his left. Beasley right slot, 2nd and goal. He's going to throw. Looking, now he starts up the middle. Now he pulls it back. Now he peels around left. Now he throws it in the end zone. Jason Witten, touchdown. Cowboys win.
What a second half Dak Prescott had against the Philadelphia Eagles in the first meeting this season between these two teams at AT&T Stadium. You look at the all-time series lead by the Cowboys, 65-50, winning that last matchup in overtime at AT&T Stadium. Now won 4 straight over the Eagles, 6 of the last 9 meetings. Welcome back to Cowboys Insider inside the Academy Sports and Outdoor Studios here at the Star. And these are two teams that have gone in totally opposite directions since that Week 8 matchup in Arlington. The Cowboys were 5-1 going into that game. The Eagles were 4-2. Since then, the Cowboys are 8-1. The Eagles 2-7 since then. But let's talk about the quarterbacks a little bit, and especially Carson Wentz, who, of course, was taken at the top of the draft. The Eagles trading up to take him. He got off to a very nice start the first half of the season, not so much the second half of the season. What do you see when you see Carson Wentz, Coach?
Well, I think that's one of the reasons you want to watch this ball game, because I think 2 of the top younger quarterbacks are in this ball game, and I think he's got an excellent future. I think what has really kind of caught up with him is the surrounding cast. I think that Dak has been helped by the group that we have here with the Cowboys, and I don't think that they have enough playmakers at Philadelphia that help him along. He's got to be more consistent. You know, he's 14 TDs and 14 interceptions, and it's got to be at least 2-1, 3-1 before it's a quality situation.
Bill, I think we've seen a quarterback that's hit the wall. Here's a guy coming from North Dakota State. It is a huge jump from North Dakota State to the NFL. He never threw more than 385 passes. And that was during a 16-game season when he won a national title at that level. He threw his 385th pass in the 11th game. And since then, he's thrown over 200 passes. I think he's getting arm worry. You've seen the touchdowns go down, the interceptions going up. He's hit the wall.
You know, that rookie wall is created because you have no receivers. He's got better receivers in the college he just left. These guys got to help him out and catch the ball. I mean, you got to be strong in that aspect. When you got a young quarterback, your job as a receiver is to know your routes, to get open, but more importantly, to catch the ball. And he hasn't had that success there.
Yeah, I agree with you, Nate. When Ertz, the tight end, is the second leading receiver on the ball club, you know you got a problem.
All right, we continue. Cowboys Insider in a moment. Our keys to the game when we come back.
Cowboys Insider, presented by Baylor Scott & White, was brought to you by AT&T, mobilizing your world. Rico's, make every game a home game with Rico's. And by Baylor Scott & White. It's easy to find the right doctor right now at BaylorScottandWhite.com.
Out of the gun, back to Dak. Now he's taking another shot in the end zone. It does! Left side of the end zone. Touchdown! Touchdown, Des Bryant.
3 more touchdown passes for Dak Prescott on Monday night against the Lions. And now how he ranks among rookie quarterbacks all time. He's got 23. Peyton Manning leading the way with 26 along with Russell Wilson. Final couple of minutes here of Cowboys Insider inside the Academy Sports and Outdoor Studios, and that means it's time for our keys to the game as the Cowboys make their final road trip of the regular season to the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday. What's your key, Coach?
Well, I believe the key to the game and really how it goes forward into the playoffs be Jason Garrett and how he approaches this football game. I believe he needs to play his guys, take them as far as they can to win the football game, and then in the end, let the circumstances and the situations determine what happens, how you finish the football game. We need to come out of this game. The best, most successful teams that we've had in playoffs have been those that played to the end.
You know, we've been hearing Rick scream for 5 weeks. Pressure, pressure, pressure. David Irvin has shown that knack for the last 2 games to bring us pressure. Terrell McClain, Malik Collins, keep doing what you're doing up the middle, and things will happen for us.
Yeah, I agree with Cam. So to quote Herman Edwards, you play to win the game. If I'm Jason Garrett, I'm telling my players, we're going to play to win this game. Nobody's going to sit. Now, you take them out in the third quarter or fourth quarter. If you get a lead, that's fine. But when you start worrying about injuries is when you get hurt.
You got to keep playing, keep the pedal to the metal, right, Coach?
Absolutely.
All right, that does it for Cowboys Insider this week. Again, to set the stage for the next couple of weeks, Cowboys will play at the Eagles on Sunday, and then it's a bye week, and then they will host a divisional playoff game at AT&T Stadium the weekend of January 14th and 15th. NFC Championship game to follow. Then the Super Bowl will be played in Houston. But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Slow down.
Now. Okay. Slow down. It's Philadelphia first. We take it one game at a time. All right, that does it for Cowboys Insider inside the Academy Sports and Outdoor Studios. For the coach, for the columnist, and for the Pro Bowler, I'm Bill Jones. And we will see you again next week as the Cowboys get set for Cabo. No, they won't go to Cabo.
Oh, that was a good one.